Hello everyone. Most of us have been writing service packages in NSO. Today we'll share with you how you can generate these packages on the fly without writing a single line of code. My name is Imran Baig, and today I have my colleague Imtiaz Ahmad, and we'll share with you this topic in detail. So this is the agenda. We'll first talk about the service packages and how we create service packages in NSO, the type of service packages NSO support. Then we will go through a basic use case. And next we will show you service builder overview. And in the end, we will demo that to you. So let's dig into it. So first thing is the NSO service packages. And with this, we will see the NSO service package types. The simplest one of them all is the template-based package. And to write a package of that kind, the skills that you required is Yang and XML. The next one, more complex packages. You can use Java-based packages. The required skills, as the name suggests, along with Yang and XML, you need to also have an understanding of Java. This is where NSO started. And later, based on the feedback from customers like you, NSO enhanced NSO. So it also started providing support for Python-based packages so that it is easier for the network engineer to write those packages. And the required skills for Python-based packages are Yang, XML, and Python. Now first look into template-based service package creation because that is the simplest one of them all. And today for our demo and our presentation, we will use this type of package. And people who are aware of how to create NSO packages, they know what are the steps to create a template-based package. So a user will start with a command to create an NSO package. Once the package is created, it comes with a default Yang model and XML template. So the first thing normally we do is we create the Yang model to map to what the user input is required for this package based on the use case that we are solving. Then the second step is to create an XML, which is based on the configured provided to us. The third step is Yang to XML template mapping, where the XML template that we have created in the step 3 above, we need to map that to user input, which is defined in the Yang model. And once we are done with this, we have created our simple template-based package, which we can load into NSO and start consuming it. Now let's look at the simple use case that we are going to discuss with you. It's a simple interface configuration. The configuration I'm sharing in this slide for the simplicity reason is to make sure that you guys can get yourself familiarized with the template text package creation. Imtiaz will add few more parameters to this simple configuration. So this is a simple use case to automate the interface configuration because network engineers day in and day out configure interfaces on the devices. For this simple use case, what we have done is we have selected a simple iOS-based interface configuration. The other device configuration is kind of similar, but for simplicity, we have selected iOS here. So as you can see in this example, we are trying to configure an interface of type gigabit Ethernet, and the ID is 0/0/0/1. And the description that we are trying to keep for this interface is red 1, and the MTU value is 1514. At this point, the expectation is user configures this interface over and over again, this type of interface over and over again, and we want to make sure that we automate this process so the user or the network engineer does not have to repeatedly do the same task. So step one, as we discussed, is the Yang creation. On the left side, you will see the same interface configuration that we saw on the previous slide. We have the interface type, interface ID, description, and MTU. And the only change that we made in this slide is the variables which are required from the user, we highlighted those in red. Like in this case, the interface ID is in red, then the description is also in red, and MTU. Now, basically, what we highlighted is the input required by the package, so the user can enter this input, and we'll take that input and push the relevant configuration. As we said, the Yang model is mapped on this input. So now if we move toward the Yang model, which is toward the center of the screen, you will notice that the first leaf here is name, which is mapping to this interface name. The second leaf is the description, which is mapping to this description. And the third one is MTU, which is mapping to this MTU. Like in any language, modeling language that we use, we are just naming these variables. You can name these variables the way you want it. And the rest is the curly brackets and the types. That is the requirement for the modeling language, which in this case is Yang. So as a user, the first thing that you do is Yang model, which maps to the input which will be provided by the end user once the automation solution is ready. Next one is the template creation. Remember, the end goal of this automation is to make sure that we should be able to push the configuration toward the device. So the device is expecting what we have toward the left top of the screen. This is what this device is expecting. And NSO sends this configuration to the device through a driver, which we call it network element driver. So what we have to do is we have to see what is supported by that network element driver, so we can pass our user provided input to the driver, and the driver can take care from that point on. In this case, you will notice that we have created an XML template. And if you remember, this has the same information, the same variables that we discussed in the previous slide. The interface ID, the description there was red, and the MTU. So all we did was we created an XML template based on the model exposed by the network element driver. And every time we need to configure the interface, we can push that configuration. The only thing that we have to keep here in mind is here we have hard-coded the values. We're just putting the same interface ID, the same description, and the same MTU. But in real life, the things might be different. What we might have to do is to change these values based on what user input is coming from the end user. And remember from the past slides that user input was captured in the Yang model. So next, as we discussed earlier, we have to map those things together. So this was our Yang model in which we were taking these three variables, name, description, and MTU. And this is our template in which we are mapping the user input. If you will see here, if we just ignore gigabit Ethernet for one moment, if you will notice here, we are using this variable name, which is defined in the Yang model. We are using this variable description, which is again coming from this Yang model, and the MTU, which is coming from the Yang model. So all we are doing here is we are mapping the input which is captured through the Yang model, and we are mapping that input to the template. And from that point on, NSO does the magic. We are just updating the NSO database called CDB. And from that point on, once the changes are committed to the CDB or saved to the CDB, the relevant configuration is passed to the device. Having said that, now let's dig deep into this solution And my colleague Imtiaz will take over from this point on, and he will show you how to create and use the service builder package. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Imran. My name is Imtiaz. I'll be covering the rest of the presentation. I'll talk a little bit about this package or solution which we built to make these services on the fly without any coding, like what Imran has covered. And this solution we have, we are supporting like 3 methods of creating the service. The first is taking the native configuration snippet from the user and converting that into a NSO service package, or it also allows you to connect to an existing device and pull the configuration from the device and create the service package, right? The third one is golden config template. This is one of the features which we have in the application, where it allows the previous 2 options as well to create the template, and then using that template we will be covering the creating the service package on NSO. But for today's demo, we will go with the native device configuration, so that everybody, as you know, the idea was to simplify the service creation and NSO consumption for everybody, especially for the network engineers who are not so enthusiastic about writing code and stuff like that. So we will be, as Imran said, we will be creating only the XML-based packages, which does not require any coding. But still, people, for the new users, it will be a lot more easier for consuming the services on the fly without writing. Even for the experienced users, it will be a good skeleton for them to create this package from this, and then build upon their work on once you have created this skeleton package. So these are the steps we will cover in the service builder. So first, user will provide the native input configuration, device configuration configlet, and from that config, we create a template, XML template. Using that template, we generate the Yang model, and we'll also let the user do the mapping. It has automatic mapping as well, generation, but we will demonstrate the custom mapping so that user has control of mapping which elements to which element, right? And once the mapping is done, user will be able to create the package, and after that, the user will be able to do the deployment of the package right away from the same screen without going anywhere, right? Without going to NSO or CLI, UI, right? And then service will be ready for consumption from either NSO or from the portal itself. Without further ado, let's go ahead into the demo. So for the demo, if I show you quickly the NSO which I'm running, right? So if I show you, I have 3 nets, in fact 4 nets, or maybe 5. ALU, Cisco Nexus, iOS, Cisco iOS XR, and Juniper. And we today we will create a package using Cisco iOS NED. So we have developed a couple of packages on NSO to make this package. As you know, right, NSO is very rich in API. So we leverage NSO API to do this automatic generation of service package through the API, right? So these are the 2 packages which we have developed to complete the solution. This is on the NSO side. We have a BPA portal, which is again not bound to NSO. We have very good functionality on the portal wise, where you can write your own custom applications, and it comes with very rich functionality as well as very tight integration with NSO, right? We have a service center which lets you consume all the services, device manager to manage your devices. And it also has the workflows. That is one of the strength of BPA, where it has very rich workflow engine in the backend. But we will not go into the detailed demo of BPA today. If anybody is interested, please reach out to me. We can have a scheduled demo for you on complete functionality of BPA. But for today's demo, let's go ahead and then do the service builder is the application which we built for this particular demo. We will go into service builder, right? So as we said earlier, we have three options: the native configuration, GCT, golden config templates, or device, right? Let's go with the native for the demo purpose. And there are a couple of inputs which are needed for creating the service on NSO. This is the service name is the name of the service which we're going to create. That's the name which we need. So let's say developer days as package name. And as you know, if you have created an NSO package, even when you generate, it'll automatically generate namespace for you, like example.com or something like that. But for our purpose, we can always use that, but we're going to let the user choose the namespace. I'll say nso.cisco.com just for the demo purpose. And once we give these two inputs, so it's optional to select the NSO, because I have 3 NSOs managed by this particular portal, and it's expecting me to select. Otherwise, in general, if you only have one NSO, it will not ask for local NSO, but NSO selection. But let's leave it that. And then we will select one of the. It automatically lists down all the nets which we have, and we will select that this is the iOS net. And the next input is the commands, right? Config-let. So as we saw in the slides presentation, we are creating an interface with a gigabit Ethernet and interface name as 0/10. We have description, red one, and we've added a couple of additional lines apart from the MTU. Right? We've added the switch port access VLAN as well as the speed. Right. The first step, as we said, is to create the XML template. Just click on this button. It will generate the XML template for us, and it will show us. Right. Once this template is generated, it will show us here, and we click on this eye icon to see the XML template. So you see, this template is created on the NSO. This is nothing but an XML template on NSO. NSO, we called NSO API to generate this. And we have the name of the Ethernet interface as 0/10, the description red one, and VLAN as 20, speed and MTU. Everything is static. This is how it is created. At this point, we can build the service as it is without doing any mapping. It will automatically generate the Yang model. It will also automatically map the Yang model with the device model, right? But for the demo, we will go ahead and then do the custom mapping option. The reason is, if you see the left-hand side, we have the schema. This is nothing but the Yang structure which we have in the net, right? This is the hierarchy which we have. On the right hand is we have the XML structure which we saw earlier, right? That is represented as a tree in both the sides. It's represented as a tree, and you don't see much of a difference because they both are same, right? This is the base for us to create this structure. But the good thing is we bring in all the Yang data types of each and every element. If you see, interface is a container, gigabit Ethernet is a list, and name is a string, and then we have VLAN as a union, speed as an enumeration, and MTU as integer, right? All this information we learned from NSO CDB through the API. Right now, the next step is this is the hierarchy, which is a little deep, which is, we will get to that in a moment. First of all, let's do the mapping, right? If you see this is the name which we need to map it to the name on the XML template, right? And the next step we will do is map the description field, and then third step we'll do map the VLAN. We can, if needed, we can map everything, leaving no static values. But for the demo, let's say that speed and MTU is kind of static. We don't want to change that. So let's leave it at that, and then we can get rid of these things so that we have only 3 inputs from the user for any interface: the name, the description, and then VLAN. Right. So if you see the path, it has interface, gigabit, Ethernet, and name, and similarly same thing with the hierarchy. At this point, I can look at the Yang model. It has generated the Yang model. It has this hierarchy. It has the device, and then the name of the service point. Everything is structured here, and it has all of it, right? And similarly, I can look at the XML template with the mapping done, and then that's how it shows, right? It has name, description, and VLAN, all 3 of them mapped. And let's get to the simplification of the Yang on the left-hand side. If the first thing which I notice is I have VLAN, which is coming under switch port and container, and then VLAN. So if you have this kind of hierarchy, it expects the user to make additional clicks on the UI, on the NSO portal, as well as it'll expect you to provide this hierarchy, even additional keywords in the command line as well when we are creating the service on that. So which can be avoided by simply removing these container paths in the Yang model. Let's say the way to do it is we'll just say drag and drop to the top level, and then we get rid of this whole 2 containers there. Similarly, we are not using enumeration and MTU in any mapping, so we'll get rid of the MTU and speed. So it already looks very simple. It has 3 inputs, and then it has 3 under the list item. You have just 3 inputs. Now we also have another interface container. If we have, let's say, if this service is managing more than 1 type of interface, let's say instead of gigabit Ethernet, it's also supporting 10 gig, or it's also supporting the fast Ethernet or plain Ethernet. You can have all those things here, where to distinguish between everything, you can have this hierarchy. In this case, we're only creating interface gigabit Ethernet, so it doesn't make sense to have 1 more level of hierarchy there. So we will get rid of that as well. So once we have cleaned up the schema on the left hand side, looks very clean. It only has 3 inputs and then the list, so that you can create multiple of them, right? If you don't want to create multiple, you can get rid of this as well, right? But let's keep it as like that, so that if the user wants to create more than 1 interface, they can still be able to do that. So if you look at the Yang model, it has cleaned up everything, and if you look at the paths, earlier it has interface, gigabit Ethernet, and name. And for the VLAN, it has interface, gigabit Ethernet, switch port, access, VLAN. That path is already automatically adjusted for us, so we don't have to worry about it. So at this point, we are good to go, and the mapping is done. We are good to go ahead and then complete the package creation. We'll just say build service, and it'll go ahead and then it'll on NSO, it's going to create a template, right? The service package template based on the NSO and CS create template command. And once it is done with that, it'll take this Yang model and then put the Yang in the right folder, and then it'll also do the XML with all the mappings. Once it is done, it'll compile that, and it is the compilation is done. Now it says it is successfully created, right? So the package is created on NSO, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But let's go ahead and then say reload packages, right? For us to consume that NSO, we need to load this package in NSO. So I'll say load it, and then it'll go ahead and load. It'll take some time to load because I have a lot of net elements. In the meantime, we can take a look at the packages. I've logged into my NSO. If I look at the packages folder, right? So earlier it had like ALU, Cisco IOS, IOS XR, Nexus, Juniper, Junos, and we have Cisco ITILs and Service Builder packages. Now the developer days package is also created. So let's see the Yang model, right? Let's go into the developer days, source, Yang, developer days, Yang, and it has created this Yang based on the model which we have created right earlier, the clean model. And if you see, it has also added the default value for the VLAN. We didn't see that in the UI. And this is how it has the service point, developer days. It has the leaf ref for the device, which was not even selected, right? It automatically get that. We assume that there's a device, and then we unless you have a device, you will not be able to provision that. So at this point, let's go ahead and see the template, developer days, templates, and developer days template. So if you see, this has created this with the right mapping, right? The name, description, and VLAN. We have speed and MTU as the static values. Similarly, if we see the compiled FXS file, right? If you see the load directory, it has developer days FXS, right? So that's how the package is generated. Let's go back to our portal. Now the package reload results have come here, and we see that the developer days package is loaded. So we can go back to NSO and see that if we have see that we have developer days package is loaded on the NSO as well, we can consume it, right? So once let's go back to, this is loaded. And I'll just services. I'll just go to the service center and then show you how to consume the service. So the service center, we see that the developer days service is loaded here. Now I'll say demo, right? That's the service name. I'll select the device. We have selected the service C1 as the device. We go to the Ethernet interface. We'll say 0/21, right? And description is developer days interface. VLAN 21, right? Those are the three inputs we were anticipating. We are expecting the user to provide, and we can say the service commit driver, and it shows the CLI format. I can go to the native, and then you see that the developer days interface. Earlier we had a static value of red. Now it's taking this. This is the standard out-of-box functionality of NSO to give us this thing. If we want to add one more, we can add one more here, one more element, and then you can create one more service. And then once I say commit, and then service can be committed to the device, and that's how simple it is to create a service and consume it. If I want to roll back, I can do a rollback of it, right? It's going to delete that interface, right? That's how simple it is. That concludes our demo. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us. And then if you need any detailed demo of BPA, please reach out to us. Thank you very much.